Texas Young Republicans don't seem to care about what really matters, but there is hope because the Rockwall Young Republicans actually did something that is as crazy as it sounds. There is hope because it's time for some straight talk. I'm Bunker Bob Steinhagen, and this is The Bunker Bob Show. Greetings to all my friends, thrill seekers, music lovers, conversationalists from across the fruited plains of the great state of Texas. I am your host, Bunker Bob Steinhagen, bringing you an hour of unfiltered, unadulterated, and unapologetic conservatism to help make Texas and America great again. And I'm grateful to have you watching today on the Bunker Cam via Rumble, YouTube, or Facebook, and welcome my podcast listeners who are out there walking, driving in their cars, or wherever they may be listening via Spreaker, Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcasts, Deezer, iHeartRadio, Podchaser, or Podcast Addict. And obviously, the issue is the issue of what the Texas Young Republicans have done has really drawn a lot of attention from conservatives, especially because we are sick and tired of the kind of actions that we are seeing coming out of Texas Young Republicans and groups like them. And what I mean by that is what happened this past weekend. They basically decided that when they met in Dallas, to revoke its partner status with the Republican Party of Texas, citing problems with Chairman Matt Rinaldi. Matt Rinaldi, who is the Republican chairman of the Republican Party of Texas, and this is their reason for leaving. The group cites numerous problems, including what they characterize as smear campaigns by Chairman Rinaldi against Hayden Padgett, the former Texas Young Republican Federation chairman, and now the newly elected National Young Republican chairman. And as you'll see, it's not a surprise that he's come up in the world. If you're going to be a liberal, might as well be as big as you can, right? Take a national platform. The Texas Young Republican Federation alleges that this includes public endorsements against Padgett, specifically the candidates endorsed by the Texas Young Republicans. Now, understand, as I said on Monday, this idea that if someone's a Texan, then we have to support them is ludicrous. There's certainly there are things known as Texas values. That's absolutely true, but Hayden Padgett does not display those values. But the young woman who was running for chair from Virginia actually demonstrates by her actions more Texas values, and Rinaldi recognized this, which is why he endorsed her over the Republican, the Texan Hayden Padgett. Now, this is the kind of thing that happens often if you dare buck the system. They cite Rinaldi's use of the Republican, and this is the best part of this whole complaint, is when they cite Rinaldi's use of the Republican Party platform to campaign against Padgett. Now, I ask you how this would have been possible. How could the chairman of the Republican Party of Texas use the party platform against Padgett? Well, the only way would be to highlight facts, not misinformation, that Padgett's political views contradict the party platform, because they appear to. And here's what's amazing is Padgett doesn't address those. He doesn't address those issues. He doesn't address the contradiction of his views to the party platform. No, he just goes after Chairman Rinaldi. Now, the statement also claims that Rinaldi engaged in what they described as documented misinformation campaigns, but omit any empirical evidence to substantiate that claim. I wonder why. Now, here is, I'm going to show you what Hayden Padgett posted following the death of George Floyd back in 2020 so that you can, I played this on Monday. I'm going to play it again because I think it's important to understand what it is that and why Rinaldi did not support Padgett.
Black Lives Matter. Republicans, myself included, have hesitated to say the phrase. Republicans fear the phrase, but we should not. The history of our party is long, messy, and complex. Times have changed, and Republican policies change with them. The murder of George Floyd tore open a vein of outrage that had only just begun to heal. Hundreds of thousands, even millions, have marched in protest demanding justice, an end to police brutality, and real evidence that Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, so that...
keep seeing black men killed. Why are so many black men in prison? Why is it so hard for black people to get a good job and a good education?
I don't know why.
Black Lives Matter. And Republicans have been saying it for 166 years.
Well, Black lives and all lives matter. That's the Republican mantra. All lives matter. And as I talked about on last week's on Monday's show, all lives matter to Jesus Christ. And so it doesn't distinct. There's no distinction in race or anything. It is that all lives matter. And that is what the platform comes out and talks about, that this BLM, this Black Lives Matter mantra that has been being embraced by Mr. Padgett, the now chair of the National Young Republicans, that is problematic. For a lot of reasons. Now, the Republican chairman, Matt Rinaldi, did endorse Jesse Blakely for chair, and highlighting the fact that she is both a strong conservative and a battle-tested leader whose efforts were critical in Virginia's recent Republican wins. Of course, that infuriates a lot of those young Republicans from Texas, right? So when the announcement was posted on social media, Rinaldi responded by stating that the whereas clauses are hilarious. My sum involvement in this race was to sign this letter and to record a 30-second video for my preferred candidate during the one event I attended by invite for 45 minutes. No text, no communications, no negative messages about any candidate. I've seriously never seen such an unhinged temper tantrum from a winning team. Now, on Tuesday, the Rockwall Young Republicans did something that made heads turn. And I had mentioned on Monday that I am not a fan of the fraternal type groups. I'm not a part of any groups. I've never been a part of young Republicans and things like that because I get tired head oftentimes coming to listen to men's clubs or Republican men's clubs or any fraternal thing, because you hear people speaking and telling you what you want to hear and things like that, but don't really challenge you in a way that really is necessary to understand what it is that that makes Republicanism so important. And that's what has always frustrated me is the fundamentals of anything need to be highlighted whenever we're talking about what it means to be a Republican. And whenever I talk about what it means to be a Republican, I always refer to what? The platform, the Republican platform. Because the platform is basically what defines what a Republican is. If I call myself a Republican, then I should uphold the Republican platform. And if there are areas of the Republican platform that I cannot stomach, then I should express those differences, and I should establish, they should be clear that there is a distinct difference between me on this issue and the Republican platform. The problem is we have so many people who are part of the Republican establishment type mindset that they basically they call themselves Republican, but have very little in common with Republican because most have never even read the platform. Most Republicans that I come across, not all, but most Republicans, I'm not talking about conservatives, the conservative base, the grassroots largely understands and has read the platform. And I will have to eat a little crow and say that at least here in Rockwall, I have experienced many members of the Republican Men's Club, for instance, or young Republicans who understand the platform. And yet there are still members. Republican Men's Club is a great example here in Rockwall. It's a great example of you've got it's open to all, right? And the problem is that you get people who are in positions of leadership in the Republican Party, and they basically have very little in common with the platform. They're there not to make change. They're not there to uphold the platform and to help people understand the fundamentals of what it means to be a Republican and how do we get fundamentally solid conservatives elected. Instead, they're all focused on, well, who's electable, who's more electable. And it is funny that the most electable are sometimes the most liberal. Why? Because the most liberal is most electable because they're trying to pull votes from all sides, from every little nook and cranny. And so they'll tell this group one thing and that group another. That's the nature of what politicians are and what makes politicians so distasteful to so many of us, right? So the Republican Party, the Texas Young Republicans have basically put their stake in the ground that they will not associate with the Republican Party of Texas until Matt Rinaldi is gone. So this is a wholly personal attack against the Republican Party, because if those of us who voted, we voted on our chairman, and our chairman is Matt Rinaldi, and frankly, he's probably I would estimate one of the best Republican chairs this state has ever had. And yet the Texas Young Republicans have said, we want no part of it. Well, enter the Young Republicans of Rockwall. Texas Young Republicans the Rockwall Young Republicans have created a declaration of their own. And this is one that will certainly draw your attention. I cannot not read it in totality. It is that good. It's short, but it's worth reading every word. It starts, late this afternoon, the Rockwall Young Republicans unanimously voted to leave the Texas Young Republican Federation. Our decision comes 1 week after TYRF's imprudent and emotional outburst to revoke its partner status with the Republican Party of Texas and its vote of, quote, no confidence end quote, in Chairman Rinaldi. To say that we are appalled by the TYRF's actions is not enough. I love this. The Rockwall Young Republicans have valued and truly benefited from our affiliation with the RPT over the past year. Some of these benefits have included guest speakers, connections, and most importantly, all in caps, the implication that we are in alignment with and support the RPT platform, the very document that explains what a Republican is and believes. This, my friends, this is a group that gets it. And I am beyond impressed by what Rockwall Young Republicans are saying. This is not a fringe group. This is not a fraternal group of people who are there to socialize. These are people who want to change what is going on in our state and in our nation. And I'm going to be, I don't want to overstate this point, but the problem is I can't overstate it. It really is going to shed a huge light for those of us who are in Rockwall and those of us who live in other counties all over the state of Texas. It's going to shed a light on what standard are we standing on as Republican men or Republican women or whatever the group is within the county. What is your group doing to stand for the platform like the Rockwall Young Republicans? It goes on. It therefore does our club a grave disservice that the TYRF so publicly, recklessly, and disrespectfully threw away their RPT partnership status. Indeed, in just the past week, a future guest speaker canceled because of our proximity to TYRF. Now, I don't know who that speaker is. I'm dying to know, actually. But it's not surprising. And something tells me that speaker just might show up again. Finally, the last paragraph. We now look to the future and are proud to form a coalition with the Dallas Young Republicans. Okay, why do they say that? Well, because the Rockwall County Republicans are not the first to do this. The Dallas Young Republicans were the first. They did it, and they're actually thrown out. And actually, the Dallas Young Republicans is one of the biggest, well, I believe it is. It's the biggest Young Republican group in the state. I don't know much about the Dallas Young Republicans other than they are a juggernaut. They have a lot of influence, and they're making a difference. And hopefully, we're going to see that difference at the state convention at this during our caucus, because we now our congressional caucus we are now, and I believe our state senate, we are now a big part of our congressional district and our state senate district, I believe, are encapsulated by Dallas. Well, if we've got people like this in the Dallas Young Republicans, well, then that's a good thing. The last sentence, we thank RPT for the support they have shown us over the past year and especially over the past week as our club has been exploring our options and plotting our course to get our RPT partnership status back. Sincerely, the Rockwall Young Republican Board, and it is worth noting their names. President Jeffrey Lyons, Vice President Carrie Tucker, President Emeritus Matt Dorsey, Secretary Savannah Wiegland, Treasurer Andrew Vandling, GOP Liaison Dalton Tassett, IT Director Mateus Barcelo, and Media Director Kende Carter. Folks, this this is the real deal. These are the real. These are the people who are going to make a difference for our party and for the future of our state. If you worry, I guess, about the next generation, if you will, and just because they're young Republicans doesn't mean that they're high school age. They're just young. Most of them are business owners and in business. They're professionals, and they've joined the Young Republicans to become politically active, and I applaud them for that. But the Rockwall County Young Republicans just knocked it out of the park, and to that group, to that board, I can't even begin to express how impressed I am. We live in a day and age where people are less willing to stand up and do what's right, and they have no compunction. They're cowards, cowards. But we are seeing movement, and I talked about this as well, and it really kind of begs the question. Because I want to go back to a Texas scorecard, something that was in the Texas scorecard. Texas lawmaker names and shames colleagues for killing conservative bills. This is, of course, Brian Harrison from Midlothian, who made the comments during his interview on the radio last week. And he basically calls out House Speaker Dade Phelan. And Dade Phelan is the House Speaker because Democrats elected him Speaker. And he basically, for their loyalty, for their vote, he basically sold chairmanships along the line. Well, he's calling them out, which is outstanding, but there's also a county, and I've misplaced the story that I really wanted to talk about, which is here it is, Bandera County censures State Representative Andrew Murr. There it is. This kind of begs the question, and I'm guessing that you kind of know where I'm going with this. After what the Rockwall County Young Republicans did, I want you to listen to what this from Texas Scorecard reported on August 25th, last week, that Bandera County Republican Party has censured State Representative Andrew Murr of Junction for opposing the core principles of the Republican Party of Texas, citing his role in impeaching Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton as the latest in a list of violations. Republican Party of Texas, and this is important to understand, that Republican Party of Texas RPT Rule 44 allows the party to censure a Republican office holder for violating the core principles of the RPT, including the party platform and legislative priorities 3 or more times during a biennium. Now, the Bandera County laid out these violations. The first was to vote and to elect Dade Phelan as the Speaker of the House, because of course the problem was that Dade Phelan there was no ambiguity to it. There was no question about what Dade Phelan was doing. He was working with Democrats, and they pulled along. He only needed a handful of Republicans to go along, and for the Republican loyalty, he gave them chairmanships on the committees that they wanted, and for the Democrats, he made concessions that would basically undermine what State Representative Brian Harrison is saying is the legislative priorities of the Republican Party, basically ignoring them. The first legislative priority that was voted on by the delegates at the June state convention was what was no allowing of not allowing Democrats as chairs of committees. This was very important, and it was the number one issue for the delegates at the party, and at the convention. And the reason why is because so many bills are being killed by these Democrats. The other thing is that Phelan is working with Democrats to kill bills through the Calendars Committee. And so if you basically, these Democrats, they're going to make him speaker. They want chairmanships on committees, but they also want guarantees that certain bills will die, even if they come out of committee. Because the way it works is a bill may pass through a committee, but it has to get on the calendar. And when it gets on the calendar, then it goes to the body and is debated and considered for a vote. Well, if it never gets to the body, well, then it can't be considered for a vote. In fact, over 400 votes, 400 bills that got out of committee that the committee said, yes, I think that the majority should hear this and consider it. Over 400 bills were put on the calendar for the last day, the last hour of the legislative session, which in fact, for all intents and purposes, effectively killed those bills. So procedurally, they're playing games. Well, we all knew this is something Dade Phelan has done before. So this ain't his first rodeo. We know his tricks. And so we said no committee chairs. Well, this was one thing that Bandera County says that Representative Andrew Murr did. Ironically, so did Justin Holland, who's in Rockwall, who covers Rockwall. Justin Holland did that too. He also voted in favor of House Bill 1, Amendment 45 by State Representative Abel Herrero of Robstown to prohibit the use of appropriated money for school choice programs. The censure says this vote violated the RPT's seventh core principle and legislative priority of school choice. And that is a key. That's, again, another legislative priority. And I think there's only 7 legislative priorities. I don't have them with me. But that's one of them. So I think we had 15 to choose from. In the top 7, I think, the top 7 were our legislative priorities, even though some of those that did not make it to the legislative priority list, but were under consideration. For instance, the prohibition of allowing males who identify as females from competing against females, that passed, and that didn't make it to the legislative priority list, but it was one of those finalists. And then the third one is voting in favor of House Bill 1635 by State Representative Dustin Burrows of Lubbock, Republican, to allow the state to interfere with private political party processes. This violated the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 9th core principle, going against a free enterprise society unencumbered by government interference or subsidies, according to the censure. Now, additionally, according to the censure, Murr, chair of the Committee on General Investigating, has demonstrated a pattern, they say, of action demonstrably opposed to the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 8th core principles of the Republican Party of Texas platform. The move to impeach Ken Paxton effectively, they say, seeks to overturn the will of the November 2022 voters. Third principle, reads the censure. Additionally, they highlighted that none of the witnesses who provided information to that committee were placed under oath before giving their statements as required by Texas government code. Notably, the Texas House has failed to follow its own precedents in previous impeachment hearings, which traditionally offered due process and defendant representation following the Texas rules of evidence. Eighth principle, continues the censure. Quote, the CGI, under the guidance of Chairman Muir, hired a group of partisan investigators and accepted secondhand and third-hand testimony gathered by those investigators, which is the eighth principle. They also pointed out that Paxton was not allowed to question witnesses or present evidence of his own during the committee investigation, which they said violates the eighth principle as well. The Bandera County GOP, the article continues, censure requests that the state Republican Executive Committee concur with the resolution and impose the full penalties of Rule 44 upon Muir. Now, what are those principles? What are those penalties? And get this, folks. This is something. This matters. These penalties would include disallowing Muir from running as a Republican in the primary election. Now, my question, my friends, is Muir the only one? Because I don't think so. And something tells me that if Rockwall Young Republicans had anything to do with it, if they had their druthers, they might just move to see if Justin Holland might have violated three of these principles as well. But the bigger question is, why hasn't the Republican Men's Club of Rockwall County done it? What about the Republican Women's Club? Has anyone looked into that? It would not surprise me if Rockwall Young Republicans might start doing some sniffing around and discovering for themselves whether or not Justin Holland did this very thing. State Republican Executive Committee of our state, the State Republican Executive Committee, SREC members, were basically lambasted by State Representative Justin Holland, just ridiculed. Wouldn't it be just the perfect end to all of this if somehow the Rockwall County Republican Party and the Rockwall County were to do the same thing to Justin Holland? The problem that I think that we're going to have is that the Rockwall County Republican Executive Committee does not have the stomach that the Bandera County Republican Executive Committee does. This is a community that is go along to get along. And it is a community that protects its own. Now, I'm going to step on some toes here to give you an example of what I mean by that. And yesterday I received an email from District Attorney Kenda Culpepper in response to a complaint I filed with the Rockwall County Sheriff's Department related to violations of Texas Open Meetings Act by the city of McClendon-Chisholm by allowing Philip Huffines and Chris Cooney to go into an executive session for an hour and 31 minutes. I had made that complaint actually directly to District Attorney Culpepper 2 days after it occurred, which would have been almost 2 years ago, September of 2021. 2 days after I made the allegations, I established what had happened. Now, see, you've got to understand that in Texas, a body, a city council cannot go into an executive session and bring someone else into it. That is not allowed other than staff. You can bring staff member into it, but that is it. you cannot allow outside parties. You especially can't allow outside parties that are like a developer to go in behind closed doors and have a discussion outside of the purview of citizens. It's what open meetings are supposed to be all about. So I made that 2 days after, almost 2 years ago, and got no response. Then the city of Heath got into a lawsuit with this developer, and I let the city of Heath know, hey, folks, they violated the Texas Open Meetings Act. They're here. I mean, they clearly violated it. So what did the city of Heath do? They subpoenaed two members of the McLennan-Chisholm City Council, and they asked them the question: did you allow Mr. Huffines and Mr. Cooney to go behind closed doors in an executive session? And they both of those members of the council said, yes, we did. We violated Texas state law. Well, the city of Heath lost their lawsuit, but it got me thinking, wait a minute. Now, the district attorney, back when I was the mayor of our little city, McLennan-Chisholm, the district attorney actually told me that the district attorney's office does not investigate. We don't investigate. We just prosecute. Oh, okay. So it got me thinking, okay, well, Heath lost this lawsuit, but this is still a violation of Texas state law. And so as part of, during this lawsuit, this is this year, right? This is recently that all of this has come to bear. I actually, over a year and a half later, I basically recorded the city administrator. We were in the council chambers. I was setting up my recording equipment, and I asked him point blank. I said, "Do you guys really think it's okay to allow people to go into an executive session behind closed doors?" And he said, "Yeah." I've got this on video. I've got it on the whole video of him going, "Yeah, there's no problem with it. If the city council thinks that it can benefit them to bring someone behind closed doors, then yes, it should be fine. There's no problem. You should ask our city attorney. He's the one who told us this." The city of Heath used that as part of their lawsuit as well to prove that they had violated state law. But the point is that it's the role of the district attorney. The attorney general's office, state attorney general's office, believe it or not, does not have any say in whether or not something is prosecuted. That is left to the district attorney alone. So not only did our district attorney, Kenda Culpepper, not only did she get the complaint 2 days after, she got another complaint just recently, apparently, even though I'd filed it 2 months ago. But the sheriff's department did their investigation, clearly found violations, and along with that recording of Mr. Hildebrand, the city administrator, there's more than sufficient evidence to prove that the actions of the city council did violate state law, and did have a detrimental effect on the city of McLennan-Chisholm, because as a result of that meeting, the city council voted to lower the 1.5 acre minimum per homesite standard to 1 acre, which allowed the developer to have 1 acre plats in their development, and resulted again in the developer being annexed into the city after they had established this huge development with little homes on little lots. Now, I say it sounds like two different things, but the portion of the development that's inside of our city of McLennan-Chisholm already, those are going to be 1 acre because that was the standard of the city. But everything else that was in the ETJ of the city, ETJ that was going to be annexed, had to be annexed with these small lot lots and these as part of this development. So Kenda Culpepper, her email to me, and I don't know that I can pull it up, but her email to me made it clear that she had. Let's just see if I can pull it up. Yes, there it is. Here is her response. She writes, yesterday we received an affidavit filed by you at the Rockwall. So this was on Tuesday that she received the affidavit filed by you at Rockwall County Sheriff's Office in regards to your complaint. The Rockwall County District Attorney's Office has researched the TOMA issue on multiple occasions. Okay, they've researched it on multiple occasions and spoken with the Attorney General's office. I'm not sure why you would need to do that. Based on that research and the investigation of the Rockwall County Sheriff's Office, we maintain the position that we will not be filing a criminal case on the facts as alleged in your affidavit. In other words, for those who, if the district attorney is there to protect elected officials, she is not there to uphold the law, the rule of law. You know what's happening all over America today? I'm sure you're well aware. There are district attorneys who are not upholding the rule of law. And they're not prosecuting people if they steal more than less than $1,000 worth of goods. And businesses are basically closing down because they can't work like that. If you're not going to uphold the rule of law, which a Republican would do, a true Republican would have no problem upholding the rule of law, especially when it's so clear, so crystal clear, especially when not just 2 years ago, it was highlighted, hey, they're violating the law, but just months ago, the city administrator is saying they're still doing it. They're still violating Texas state law. Kenda Culpepper is creating an environment where citizens come second, government officials come first. No Republican, no conservative on earth would ever be okay with that. Not one. To say that Kenda Culpepper is a conservative Republican is not when it comes to law and order. And just to put some perspective on this, when I was mayor of McLennan Chisholm, she came to me and said, I've received a complaint that you are taking things off, that you are talking about things during session that are not on the agenda. And I told her that's not true. And it wasn't true. But she had the sheriff's department do an investigation. When? During the election. So that the Rockwall Hilarious Banner could report that I was under investigation for breaking TOMA. When it's a conservative, when it's someone who's actually standing up for the citizens of McLennan Chisholm and standing against developers, well, beware of Kenda Culpepper. Any of you conservative mayors out there, beware of Kenda Culpepper. But if you are a liberal and if you skirt the rule of law, hey, listen, what Kenda Culpepper has made clear to every governing body in the Rockwall County area is you can violate state law, and she's not going to do a thing about it. She doesn't care. And it goes back to the fundamental of conservatism. The fundamental of conservatism goes to the Constitution, the role of government. The first role of government is what? To protect the rights of the individual, not the government. The Constitution was written for individuals to protect our rights, our individual rights. What is happening in America today is the Politburo, the elected the people who are in charge, who are at the top, who have the power, they are the ones that are being protected. They are the ones that people like Kenda Culpepper are keeping safe and are taking care of. it would seem to me that if Ken Culpepper with me was very direct. Oh, you can't. I said, so I can't talk about the Dallas Cowboys during a session. Not if it's not on the agenda. Not if it's not on the agenda. And the reason I said that is because her husband, Jim Pruitt, who I really like, a true conservative, he was the mayor of Rockwall, and I was at a session where he said something about the Dallas Cowboys, and it wasn't on the agenda. Kenny Culpepper is going to continue being our district attorney. It's just a fact, because we don't have anyone apparently that's willing to run against her, and so we're stuck with a district attorney who cares not for the rule of law. I heard someone talk about her integrity and what a person of integrity she was. I'm sorry, but it's my understanding that integrity is what you do when no one's watching. So when someone tells me that someone is a person of integrity, that person, oh, you can trust them, they're a person of integrity. How would you know? The answer is you don't. The answer is you don't. And it goes to the heart of what it means to be a follower of Jesus Christ. I'm a Christian not because I'm good. I'm a Christian because I am so bad. I am in need of grace. I am in need of a Savior. I cannot do it on my own. It is Christ alone. When I stand at the gate of heaven and God asks me, why should I let you into my kingdom? I will have 3 answers for him. Jesus Christ, Jesus Christ, and Jesus Christ. Christ alone is why I am worthy to be called the Son of God only. And so I do not believe that people are naturally good. I believe that people are naturally sinful. I know that's a cynical way of looking at it, but that is kind of, I don't know, biblical, that we were born into sin. Why is it that so many pastors have to leave the pastorate after they've left their wife for another woman? Sin. Because there are none that are good, not even one. Jesus even said, why do you call me good? Only God is good. He's right. That's why we called him good, because Jesus Christ was the incarnation of God in the flesh. And that is why when people say, well, you can't, you just have to trust this person, that Ken Culpepper is is a person of integrity. I laugh at that. You don't know. Why is Ken Culpepper not upholding the rule of law? Is it because she's getting some kind of a paid kickback from developers? I don't know. Is it because she just wants to see Rockwall grow, and she doesn't care about our water shortage? She doesn't care about the lifestyle that people move here for. She doesn't care about any. I don't know. I don't know why Ken Culpepper will not uphold the rule of law and hold elected officials accountable. I don't know. All I know is that her actions demonstrate that she has nothing in common whatsoever with a conservative in office. And what are we going to do about it? We're going to see Ken Culpepper, the head of the Rules Committee for the Rockwall County Republicans. Why? Because she's the district attorney. Because she's a Republican. She calls herself a Republican. And because she's so well known and well liked. I am not saying that Ken Culpepper is not a nice person. She is. I like being around her. I like talking with her. But she is not someone who is going to uphold the rule of law. That's a problem. I don't vote for people and I don't support people because I like them. In fact, I have voted against people that I like very much because the alternative was someone that I didn't like so much, but was going to uphold and do what they said they were going to do. They were actually going to uphold the rule of law. Kind of important, wouldn't you say? I think so. Rockwall County doesn't. So when I talk, so all that to say, Rockwall is kind of a little bubble. And you may be in a community just like Rockwall, where the district attorney and others, they protect their own, right? They protect their own. They make sure that that they stay in office because they're comfortable there, and they really don't give a hoot. One of the most refreshing things, so I know I'm just focusing on Rockwall County right now, but there's a reason for it. One of the most refreshing things that we have had in Rockwall County was a new county judge and 2 new members of the County Commissioners Court. Our new county judge, Frank New, and new members Dana Macklick and John Stacy have really turned things around. These 3 votes, they are now a majority vote. They now run the county, and they are kind of no nonsense. They hate the good old boy mindset that has permeated Rockwall for so long. And it's refreshing. We've got a lot of young Republicans in Rockwall right now who are kind of sick and tired of being sick and tired of being told one thing and then people doing another. They're kind of people who are willing to stick their neck out, and they're not afraid, like our Rockwall County Republican Executive Committee seems to be, because it really begs the question. And again, maybe they have looked into it, and maybe Justin Holland hasn't violated 3 of these standards. Maybe he hasn't. Maybe I'm wrong. I've been wrong before. I can admit that. I can admit it when I'm wrong. But has Justin Holland upheld these? Has he not done what Mr. Murr has done? I think that's a good question to ask. But more importantly, all over the state of Texas, those of you who are all over Texas, has your state rep? How did he vote? Because I will tell you this, that I think there's only 4 or 5 members of the state house that voted that did not vote with Dade Phelan. And the reason for that is it was a fait accompli. They knew that who it was going to be. And if you voted against Dade Phelan, you basically got shafted. You got put in the very back of the proverbial bus. And you got on the committee that you hated, didn't want to be a part of, had no business in, and are basically living. You are effectively neutered. That's what happens to those who stand up and do what is right. So I wonder what's going to happen. What's going to happen in Texas? What are you going to do as a citizen? Are you a member of your Young Republicans or whatever Republican group that is out there? I think there's it just begs the question about what's important, right? And what we're trying to accomplish as Republicans. If you don't like Joe Biden, and very few of us do, how did he get elected? He got elected because he was more likable than Donald Trump. And you've got all these Republicans out there, and I'm a Trump guy through and through. Trump is my guy. I'm going to be voting for Trump, and I am absolutely content with that decision, because he's the first person president to act in and do everything he said he was going to do. Greatest president of our lifetime. I think Vivek Ramsey is right. That he is the greatest president of our time, and I think we ignore what he's done, and we want to focus on things that are irrelevant, that don't matter. The only thing that matters, really and truly, is that Donald Trump is the one guy who has stood up for Americans and America in opposition and in contradiction to the Republican establishment. That's a good thing, and that's why I think he should be president again, and why I will be doing everything I can to get him reelected. And I hope that And I hope that there's a lot of Rockwall County Young Republicans that are also going to be doing the same thing. I think there may be. Well, I appreciate you being with me. I am grateful that you came by today, and I look forward to seeing you next week. I will be talking about water next week. I was supposed to do that yesterday, but I'm going to be talking about water next week because there's about water in Texas that I think citizens should know. And I've got some things to say to those who live in McClendon-Chisholm, who right now are gunning. They want to see government take over the water company. They don't want the private sector doing it, because there are those who call themselves conservatives, call themselves free market conservatives, who think that government can do something better than the private sector. Never before been done. But that's also the same thing that Democrats say, isn't it? Whenever they talk about socialism, well, it's never been done correctly. Well, hopefully it won't here either. Well, blessings to you. I will see you next week. And blessings.